What's happening, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Happy week 13. Happy Thanksgiving week, however you're spending it. Hopefully it's enjoyable. Hopefully it's fun. Whatever that looks like. Talking shop ahead of week 13. Do a quick check on waivers, general overarching thoughts on waivers. Surely there are a good number of names that I bring up today that are probably available in a good number of leagues. We're at that point of the season where you can go from zero to hero really quickly, and go from being completely off the radar a couple months ago to a guy that is not only on your bench but potentially in like flex consideration depending on your options available. So we'll talk about it. We'll talk shop. There are no bye weeks this week, so hopefully you have a full and healthy arsenal ready to go for your week 13 lineup. Week 14, I believe, is the final week for bye weeks. That's next week. But this week, no bye weeks to contend with. We've got some injuries to talk about, some injuries that guys are coming back from. Plenty to discuss leading up to Thanksgiving. Really quickly, this week will be a little bit fluid for my availability. I will be traveling to go see family. I will make myself available as I can. I can try to pop on here and there for some quick lives at some point over the weekend. But of course, if you yourself are busy with the holiday or whatever else you have going on, if you have any questions after tonight for the rest of the week, there's a couple different ways that you can get a hold of me, or they're the same ways that I always suggest outside of the live streams themselves. You can ask a question in the form of a comment on recent streams or videos on the channel. The more recent they are, the more likely that I'll see it. And then, of course, you can join me in Discord if you're not already a member of the Discord. That is the second link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. Free evergreen invite. I will be as available over there as I possibly can be. As we navigate the holiday week. But let's talk shop. Plenty to get into. Some fallout from week 12. The big injury, one of the bigger injuries, was Alvin Kamara, of course. Suffered, I believe, an MCL or maybe a PCL sprain. It wasn't a tear. But it was a sprain, avoided a major injury, but could be missing a little bit of time here. And Kamara, in this situation, the Saints are 2-9. They are not. We all know the writing's on the wall. They're not going to the playoffs. They have their eyes set on 2026 and beyond. They didn't trade Alvin Kamara at the deadline. Obviously, I don't know that I guess he factors into whatever plans they have for the rest of his career. He seems to like playing for the Saints. He doesn't seem to be interested in moving on. I don't know how much time he has left in the NFL, but it's not out of the realm of possibility that given the injury, given the fact that he needs time to heal and where the Saints are at this point in the season, maybe he suits up again, maybe he doesn't. Of course, I'm sure Kamara wants to play if he's healthy. The Saints will keep long-term plans in mind. They will keep health of the player in mind. And, of course, where they are at this juncture of the season will also be considered. Kamara's a tough shell to crack right now, tough to figure out. It could just be a week that he misses. It could be more than that. So, if you're hurting at running back, or if you have Kamara, injuries, there's no bye weeks this week, so hopefully you don't absolutely need a guy like Devin Neal. But if you have Alvin Kamara, Devin Neal becomes a guy that is a very intriguing pickup that you could go for, probably without having to spend too much fab. Outside of if you're the Kamara owner, of course. He'll get an opportunity. It's not Kendre Miller, right? Is he out for the season? Yeah, torn ACL like multiple weeks back. Yeah, he's not coming back this year. So it's going to be Devin Neal for at least 1 week. Hopefully you don't have to rely on him again. There's no bye weeks this week. The Saints are on the road against Miami. It is a good matchup by the numbers, but that's a bit of a tougher sell. Just because of how unproven Devin Neal is. But I guess he's the top waiver wire at running back this week, just based on his potential opportunity. As far as Kamara, your guess is as good as mine. I kind of just went over that spiel. We don't know if he's going to play in Week 14. We don't know if he's not going to play again until 2026. It's all options, I would imagine, are on the table. And it's not like the Saints are teetering on playoff contention. They are very much, have an eye for the future. So that's one of the big fallouts as far as injuries from Week 12. Isaiah Pacheco will play on Thursday. Hopefully you don't need to rely on him. Omarion Hampton had his 21-day practice window opened. He's also probably a tough guy to trust in his first week back. He's been out since, week 5 or 6 with the foot injury. But had the 21-day practice window opened, could return for the Chargers against the Raiders coming out of their bye week. It's a good matchup, but could be tough to trust in his first game back. And speaking of coming back, Joe Burrow will make his return for the Cincinnati Bengals on Thanksgiving Thursday night. It's a Sunday. It's technically Sunday Night Football, but on Thursday night. Dumb branding, whatever. Burrow will make his return Thanksgiving night against the Baltimore Ravens, being out since week 3. So boost for Cincinnati's offense. Jamar Chase's projections are what they were, regardless of who the quarterback is. Top 3 wide receiver. They will be without T. Higgins, who suffered a concussion. So Andre Yosivas, once again, gets another expanded opportunity on Thursday night. First this past week because of Jamar Chase's absence, and this week without T. Higgins. Again, concussion, week 12, short week, no chance he plays. I'm pretty sure he's already been ruled out. Burrow's tough to trust. Based on typical expectations, you certainly need to fire him up in Superflex leagues. One quarterback, it obviously depends on your other options. But if you have, like Jackson Dart, who is still in concussion protocol, missed the past couple of weeks. The Giants have a Week 14 bye. Much has been made about he could just be held out until then. So I wouldn't risk it. I wouldn't wait for Dart this week if you have Joe Burrow. I'm sure there are some scenarios where you have both of those guys. Plan to play Burrow on Thursday night. But if you have a little bit more of a stable option, Drake May, like later this week, maybe you wait a week on Burrow, who will be without T. Higgins. And again, a lengthy absence that he's coming back from. George Pickens limited on Tuesday. The Cowboys play on Thanksgiving. There's 3 games. This is common knowledge. Pickens should be fine with the limited practice. Josh Jacobs is limited in practice on Tuesday, as is Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden. Jacobs did not play for the Packers in their win against the Vikings. He was, I think, by all accounts, he was close to playing. They held him out because of the fact that they have 2 games in 4 days. They handled their business against Minnesota. Turned out to be not very difficult for them. Now they get Jacobs back in a massive showdown against the Lions on Thanksgiving. Well, it's not official, but I would imagine Jacobs is in good shape to play. He was close again on playing on Sunday. Should return against Detroit. Jaden Reed, Matthew Golden, we'll see. If you have Christian Watson, obviously, if he's in consideration to start, just keep an eye on the availability of Jaden Reed and Matthew Golden. Their availability, one way or another, may not make a difference, to be honest. If Reed were to return, he'd be coming back from, he's basically missed the entire season. Golden has had an up-and-down rookie campaign, mostly down. Don't know that he necessarily factors in, even if healthy. So honestly, Christian Watson is probably fine if you need him on Thursday. Okay. Those are, I guess that's some big injury fallout from the week. And practice updates ahead of Thanksgiving. Waiver wire options, I already talked about. Devin Neal, he's probably the top running back option. I would imagine he is available in most leagues. I don't think he's somebody that had been stashed up to this point, not even by the person in your league who has Kamara. Chris Rodriguez would be another one. Coming out of the bye week for Washington, figures to be the starter. Ja'Cory Krosky-Merritt has had a lot of opportunities this year. He has come up short in almost all of them. He's been relegated. If the past week against Spain or in week 11 was any indication, he is a depth. He's in a depth role, change of pace role, and nothing more. So Chris Rodriguez looking like a decent option at running back on waivers if he's available. He may have been because Washington was on bye this past week. Same deal with like Jaleel McLaughlin for Denver. He may have a role behind, like a larger than expected role behind R.J. Harvey. Sean Payton does like to rotate multiple backs. Historically, of course, Harvey is the exciting, enticing one, and could continue to work as the 1A coming out of the bye week. But Jaleel McLaughlin probably flying under the radar a little bit as a potential running back option. And then I guess just to piggyback off of Devin Neal, just because the Saints situation right now is so fluid, Audric Estime, you could probably throw a $0 to $1 fab bid on him and get him if you're truly hurting at running back depth. At wide receiver, I mean, John Mechie had a really nice game for the Jets. Garrett Wilson is still on IR. I just talked about the Saints being a team that is looking to the future. The Jets are very much in the same boat. It's not a guarantee that Garrett Wilson returns this year, given the state of their season. They traded for Mechie midseason. They obviously want to get an extended look at as many young guys as they possibly can. So Mechie definitely in consideration for some wide receiver depth along the on the wire. Jaden Higgins. Same, both guys caught touchdowns in their previous games. Both figured to continue to see expanded roles with their teams, with their offenses. Young guys with the opportunity to ascend. Those are some intriguing wide receiver names that you could take a look at. Let's see. At tight end, obviously at quarterback, I can't imagine Joe Burrow is still available. He was probably getting picked up a couple of weeks ago when the news broke that he was close to returning. But on the off chance that he is still out there in shallower leagues, now's the time. At tight end, Darren Waller is having his practice window opened for Miami. Don't know if he plays this week against the Saints, but week 14 against the Jets, week 15 against the Steelers, week 16 against the Bengals, week 17 at home against Tampa Bay. That's a pretty good schedule, pretty good slate of games. If you are streaming tight ends and looking for some upside for the playoffs and you're in good shape to either make the playoffs if you haven't clinched outright already, Waller's got a pretty good slate of games. It'll be interesting to see if they just throw him right back in as the primary starter. Greg Dulcich has been solid in his absence. But Waller is surely widely available. I can't imagine there are too many leagues where he was getting stashed on IR. He should probably be available if you're hurting at tight end. He's worth a look. Brenton Strange was the tight end 5 on the week, 5 catches for 93 yards. Some tough matchups sandwiched between a couple of good ones. This week against Tennessee, by the numbers, not a great matchup. Not that Tennessee is a great team. But then the following week, against Indy, good matchup. Jets, decent matchup. Broncos, week 16, I would avoid that. But then week 17, once again against Indy, that's a favorable matchup by the numbers. Strange's matchups are a little bit more up and down than Waller's. But he's healthy as of this past week, so he may be a little bit safer as far as a short-term option at tight end if you need it. Okay. Those are some general waiver wire thoughts. If you have any specific situations that pertain to you, obviously we can talk shop on that and see what we can do about getting some new pieces, some new help added to your bench. Let's get into your questions. And let me do my spiel. First of all, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out this Thanksgiving week. Whether you're staying home, whether you're getting in the car, whether you're getting on a plane, hopefully it's safe, hopefully it's fun. But let's talk some football before then. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you are here for the first time, welcome in. Members get first priority as far as responses to their questions and comments. It does not matter when I get a new question from a member. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. You will get your question responded to in priority order. You can find more details about becoming a member of the channel in the first link in the description of this live stream and all videos and streams on the channel. You could also send a super if you are feeling generous enough this holiday season. That would also be a way to skip the line and get your question answered faster. You may also get a little bit more out of me as far as thought process, context, analysis, gut feeling, whatever have you. As a member or sending a super. If you are not a member and do not send a super, I will answer your question, but I do ask for some patience. It may take some time for me to get to you. I have to get to the members and the supers first, but I do appreciate your patience. I will get to every question. Whether you are a member or not, if you are enjoying the stream and the conversation, if you could just like the stream, that helps me out for algorithm purposes. Appreciate that in advance. Let's see. The members that I see so far, I see Bobby, I see Rojo, I see Evan, I see Kevin, I see Sport Dog. What's going on, everybody? Thanks for popping in, and all of you. Let's get into it. So I did just talk about this, Bobby. Hopefully you caught it. If you need me to rehash, let me know. But I did just kind of talk about it. We have no idea how long Kamara is going to be out. I don't really want to drop Kamara yet outright for Devin Neal. If you don't have the IR spot, it's a little dicey to drop Kamara because at the end of the day, there are no bye weeks this week. So you should have your full complement of startable options available to you. And unless you have been hit with a slew of injuries, I can't imagine Devin Neal, again, outside of those who have Kamara, is even in consideration for the flex. I have to imagine you have more stable season-long options, especially this week, again, with no bye weeks, to have to pivot to an emergency situation like Devin Neal, where we absolutely have no idea how that's going to pan out, what that's going to look like, even if he even leads the backfield. I would wait a week before picking up Devin Neal if your only option is to just cut Kamara outright. I'd rather wait a week. If Kamara misses week 14 and there's no positive updates, like maybe this time next week, then okay, fine. It might be time to sever ties with Kamara, unless they put him on IR outright between now and then. If they do, then yes, he's a drop candidate. He's probably not going to be viable for the rest of the season if he goes on IR. That hasn't happened yet, though. We don't know if it's going to happen. I wouldn't cut him yet. Let's give it a little bit of time. Bye weeks the fact that there are no bye weeks this week should make it so that it's okay. You don't have to rely on Devin Neal this week. I can't imagine. As far as Burrow, it depends on who the other options are. And again, I'm not ready to drop Kamara yet. I want to see what happens if the Saints do anything, if there is a transaction that goes down, if they do place Kamara on injured reserve, he can be dropped. Obviously not in keeper leagues and dynasty leagues, but he can be dropped in redraft formats if he gets placed on injured reserve. That would pretty much signal the end of his season with the Saints sitting at 2-9. But that hasn't happened yet. So again, it depends on who's available at quarterback. Who are you potentially dropping? I don't want to drop Kamara yet, unless there's like a slam dunk option that's available to you that you can pick up. Devin Neal is not that. A random quarterback is not that. But let me know who the other quarterback options potentially are. What's going on, Rojo? DK's getting punt return yards. Look, he's a good-looking player. Cam Ward had some nice throws this past week, too. He had a good week. I'll be buying Cam Ward in 2026. Like, definitely in best ball leagues where you can get him super late, probably at the end. We're probably maybe the 13th, 14th round. Could be even later than that in some best ball leagues. I will have me some Cam Ward on best ball rosters and maybe some, who knows? He could be a QB2 in one quarterback leagues next year. For those who roster two quarterbacks, I'm buying Cam Ward. He looks like he can. Their situation stinks right now, but he's got some appeal. I think he's got the right attitude, the right mindset. Cam Ward does. What's going on, Evan? If Harrison is healthy, so the last thing I saw on Marvin Harrison was that there is no update. If he comes back, though, I might play Wilson. If you can only play one, I might play Wilson until we see what Marv looks like, having missed a couple of weeks. Michael Wilson has been balling. Even when Marv comes back, Michael Wilson has to remain a big part of what they want to do on offense. He has to. He's got 25 catches the past 2 weeks. Michael Wilson. That's crazy. 25 catches in 2 weeks for Michael Wilson. Like, take a bow. It's a hell of a performance the past couple of weeks by him. I don't know how you can take him out of your lineup right now. Well, let's give it some time. Let's see what happens if Marv returns to practice this week. But the last thing I saw was that there was no status update. So, it's almost like, even if you have both of them, it's almost kind of like, wouldn't be upset if he was ruled out one more time. And Michael Wilson can just keep eating because he's been killing it. He's been killing it. And then as far as Bucky or Ashton Genty, probably Genty if you can only play one. Bucky has missed a lot of time, and it's a great matchup at home against Arizona. I have no doubt that they won't put him out there until he's ready. And if he's ready, that could mean a full complement of opportunities right away. But Sean Tucker and Rachaad White might be more involved, at least for that first game, than we would prefer to see. It's anybody's guess what the backfield looks like when Bucky comes back. Maybe he instantly comes back and gets 20 to 25 opportunities. Maybe he gets eased in and he only gets 12 to 15. I would say let's keep an eyes and ears plugged in on vibes, practice status, what the coaches say. What the coaches say might be tough to trust because way back when this first all started, Todd Bowles declared Bucky day-to-day, and then he went on to miss like 2 months of action. And then, of course, there was that report that Bucky has been dealing with some stuff. It sounds like maybe internally, mentally, off the field, non-football related, injury related, but it's been more than just like a physical toll. So obviously we hope all is well with him in all aspects. But, let's keep an eye on vibes, feel, and I know that's abstract, but sometimes the proof is in the pudding in the reports. We may get, oh, Bucky will be eased back in, or, oh, Bucky won't have any limitations. And then the best we can do is, based on that information, act from there, whatever that information is. So I think we just got to kind of take it one step at a time while he comes back, while he works his way back. What's going on, Kevin? Jordan Addison. I mean, who's trading for Jordan Addison right now? And who's trading for Justin Jefferson right now? Not me. I mean, people do the funniest things. It's like, what do you think you're going to get right now for Jordan Addison? I'll give you $3. And honestly, that's maybe like $2 too much. It has nothing to do with Jordan Addison. He's a hell of a player. J.J. McCarthy looks like he does not belong. And I know that maybe is a little bit unfair because he's 22 years old. He's still younger than he's younger than some second and third year players. So he's got plenty of time to kind of get right and figure this thing out. But I mean, in the short amount of time that we've seen J.J. McCarthy, he has mostly looked terrible. It's a shame. I traded for him in Dynasty, and that has not worked out. That has not worked out so far. So, I mean, the expectations were high. He was a high first-round pick. He went to a good situation in Minnesota, a head coach that we believe in Kevin O'Connell. And it has not gone well. This offense looked better with Carson Wentz. Why would I pay for Jordan Addison? People do funny things. Like, why would I pay for Jordan Addison right now? You know? Or Justin Jefferson. I wouldn't give much of anything for Justin Jefferson right now. It's like, what do you think you're going to get? Evan, I do remember saying to wait for Dart. I'm glad to see that you got Winston. Well done. Unfortunate circumstances around Dart. And obviously that's on me for believing that he would return to play. The limited practice sessions made me think he was on track to return, and then, we all know what happened. But you ended up with Jameis. He balled out, caught a touchdown, did his thing. Jameis is awesome. So I'm happy that worked out for you. And then we'll see what happens with C.J. Stroud and Davis Mills this week. I don't know if we got any confirmation about how that's going to go. Like if is Davis Mills has played well, is he has he forced a conversation? I don't know. Sport Dog, concerned about London. Yeah, I don't know yet. We are at the mercy of updates from the team. And so if the coach doesn't know, or if the coach is unsure of his availability, then the rest of us are just sitting here kind of waiting. They could be cautious with him. Yeah, I mean, look. The Falcons are not in a good part of town. They're 4-7. They're on the outside looking in. They're barely on the playoff bubble. And what would a run from them this year even look like officially? So yeah, they'll be judicious. They'll take care with Drake London, and if he's not ready, they won't put him out there. Just keep eyes and ears plugged in on the situation. Okay, Bobby. See, like this one is interesting. If Hampton is on waivers, yeah, I would probably cut Kamara to pick him up. I would rather have Hampton rest of season than Kamara officially, just knowing what we currently know. Hampton had his 21-day practice window opened. He appears set to make his return. He may not be a viable start this week, his first game back, but he's coming back for a team that is headed toward the playoffs. Is not out of it for the AFC West division title. When Hampton is back and ready to go, he's going to be a big part of what they do on offense. Kamara, on the other hand, is an aging running back who has now suffered a PCL strain on a 2-9 Saints team that's going nowhere. And it's not out of the realm of possibility that we're looking at a multi-week absence. Maybe it's a one-game absence. Maybe it's not. Even if he does come back, he's only been lackluster at best this year. He's held back by a bad offense, plus the fact that he's 30 years old. Like, yeah, Hampton for Kamara. I mean, think of it in the form of a trade. If someone offered me Amari and Hampton for Alvin Kamara straight up, yes, I would take that right now. Like Alvin Kamara for Devin Neal, no. But for Amari and Hampton, yes, that's worth it. I would spend fab to pick up Hampton and drop Kamara. Yes. Yes. You have who works for. I mean, we gotta wait and see. I mean, Rodriguez is in a good spot, I guess, as the starter. So he should be fine. Gainwell had a nice performance. Monangai had a decent day as well, but he's on the road against Philly, so I don't think I would advocate for Monangai. The Steelers get the Bills this week. That's a great matchup. So maybe my answer is Gainwell. Washington gets the Broncos. Yeah, probably Gainwell. It is a little early to definitively make start-sit calls, obviously, with the holiday, and I'm less certain of what my stream schedule will look like the rest of this week. I do intend to try to make myself available in some capacity, but I don't know that I'll have my typical cadence with the holiday. So start-sit questions are totally fine to start speculating on at this time. Probably Gainwell against the Bills. It's a good matchup. And the Steelers should lean into using both running backs. Whether Rodgers is less than 100% or if it's another game of Mason Rudolph, I would think they lean into their run game. So probably Gainwell. Probably Gainwell. Bobby, I mean, I need to take a look at how these guys did. I mean, Jacoby's been a top 10 quarterback like 5 out of the past 6 weeks. How'd Love do against Minnesota? 139 yards, no touchdowns. Like, once again, had a bad... Yeah, I mean, Bobby, Jordan Love is officially off the fantasy radar. Like, I'm benching him in super flex leagues. Like Brissett, and it's not close. It's not close. Jordan Love is fantasy irrelevant right now. And I know he's going to get, at some point, he's going to get Jaden Reed back, and he's going to get Matthew Golden back. I don't know how significant these additions at this point of the season are. Reed has missed so much time. And Golden is a rookie who has had way more downs than ups. It's Brissett by a wide margin. Jordan Love is, I know you're a Packers fan, Bobby. Jordan Love is off the radar. There is no way that I would even want to roster him, let alone consider starting him. Jordan Love has no fantasy value. He should comfortably be left on waivers. Jacoby, and it's not close. And then rank these wide receivers. Again, I see everybody's questions, but I do got to get to the members first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. Let's see. Assuming all are healthy, I guess Michael Wilson is one right now. I think Michael Wilson is one right now of that group. He's on fire. He's killing it. I would say Wilson is first. I would say Brian Thomas is last. He has done nothing this year. I would probably say Harrison is next to last after that, just because of the emergence of Wilson and the unknown of what his role is coming back. I would probably put Igbuka second, just because I still believe in Igbuka and the connection with. Well, that's assuming if Baker Mayfield is okay to play, then Igbuka is second. If it's not Baker, then Igbuka might honestly be last behind Brian Thomas, because if it's Kyle Trask, then I don't trust that. Michael Wilson is first. Then I guess, Metcalf in a potential shootout against Buffalo, or negative game script anyway. And then it's then the rest of the guys are a hodgepodge. I would say Michael Wilson, then Metcalf. Ibuka's up there if Baker is healthy, but he's off the radar if Baker's not healthy. And then Sutton is getting dragged down by Bo Nix. Harrison, Michael Wilson has emerged. Brian Thomas has done nothing. Like, those other three guys, Sutton, Harrison, Brian Thomas, that's like a bleh group right now. That's a bleh group right now. But Michael Wilson is one. That I know. That I know. And then for your RB2 this week, probably Charbonnet. Those other guys are a little hard to trust. At least Charbonnet's in a good offense, and the Vikings season is spiraling out, so I don't mind that matchup at home. Monangai gets Philly on the road, so no thanks. Bucky is coming back for the Bucks, so I don't want to play Tucker. And Tootin bombed. Tootin didn't do anything, so he's a little tough to back. He's still interesting, but he's tough to support after such a down week. Probably Charbonnet. But we got to see how things shake out. I got a super from Mr. Rising Spirits. Appreciate that, Mr. Rising Spirits. Thank you so much for the support. Would I trade London to acquire Puka? I mean, yes. I don't know if your league has, and I'm not trying to insinuate anything, but, if I saw that where London is hurt and Puka is healthy, I don't know. I would be asking the person who is trading Puka to acquire London, what are they thinking? To me, that's clear cut. And I know Devontae Adams is the touchdown scorer for the Rams. Puka still had 7 catches for 97 yards on 11 targets against Tampa Bay. He is a bona fide stud. And I know that's just a wide receiver 2 performance on the week, but it is better than London is giving you right now, which is nothing. And the latest update is that the Falcons might be cautious with London as he works his way back from the injury. I mean, London might not play this week, and Puka remains a clear-cut slam dunk. You have to start him no matter what option for your lineup. Yes, I'm doing this trade, and I'm doing it without question. Take it like you stole something. Take Puka like you stole him. And look, London has been incredible this year, but he's hurt. He's injured. And we don't know what he's going to look like when he comes back. I would take Puka for London straight up if London was healthy. With no injury issue. Again, I know London had previously been awesome leading up to the injury. But Puka's in a better offense, a better situation, a better quarterback, and it's a good team. I like betting on guys on good teams more than I like betting on guys on bad teams. The Rams are one of the best teams in the conference. The Falcons are the maybe 10th best team in the NFC, maybe 9th on a good day. And Michael Penix is done for the year. And I don't know what the connection will look like with London from Cousins if and when London is able to return. Yes, I want Puka for sure. If anything else, I know Puka's going to play this week. I don't know if London's going to play this week. Not after not after the most recent update that the Falcons will be cautious with Drake London. So, yes, give me Puka. Give me Puka. London might have more touchdown upside, more scoring upside, but Puka is one of the steadiest, safest receivers that you can rock with week over week. And catching the ball from Matthew Stafford, I'll take that. I'll take Puka over an injured London. Maybe getting healthy soon, Maybe he's ready this week. But Puka's healthy right now, and we don't know if London is. That's enough for me to say yes. That's enough for me to say yes. I would prefer Puka. Appreciate the super. Let me know if you need anything else. Any more thoughts? Happy to talk shop. Appreciate the support. I think I got all the member questions that I have for now. I will, of course, keep an eye out to see if there are any more. If any members need anything additional, maybe you missed an answer to your question, just let me know and I can rehash it. But I think I got them all. Let's see. Back up to the top. And I appreciate everybody's patience. Trade CD and Judkins for JSN. That's a lot. But JSN is also awesome. You have Taylor, you have Marks, you have Harvey. That would be your running backs if you gave up Judkins. You'd be a little light at running back if you did that. You have Lamb, you have London, you have Adunze, you have Diggs. You certainly upgrade going from CD to JSN, but relying on and Taylor, look, Taylor's been the best running back in football, so he's good enough to carry you by himself. But I don't know if I want to go into the playoffs with Woody Marks or RJ Harvey as my RB2 right now. Harvey could emerge coming out of the bye week with J.K. Dobbins not coming back, but that's not a guarantee right now. It could happen, but it's not a guarantee. Marks, he's in something of a committee. He's definitely flashed some talent. The offense is just okay. He's going to have his decent weeks, but his floor, when he doesn't score, his floor is going to be kind of pedestrian. I think it's a fair offer because JSN has been unbelievable. But if you're not getting a running back in return and you're giving up Judkins, which is, Lamb and Judkins for JSN is a fair ask of the JSN owner. He's been, the best receiver in football this year. I don't know that I want to give up those two pieces without getting a running back in return. If I was getting a running back in return, even a low-end option, I'd be a little bit more enticed by that. But the fact that you're giving one up without getting one in return and one that you can rely on in the playoffs in Judkins, I don't know that I want to do it. I don't know that I want to do that. Planning on dropping Kyle Pitts? Yep, that's fair. Honestly, one of those first two names should be fine. Theo Johnson has a great opportunity rest of the season. If it's Jameis for one more week, then you can fire him up with some level of confidence. He had 3 for 77. That's a great day. It's a good matchup by the numbers this week against New England. That's probably where I would go. Would be Theo. Strange is interesting as well. He had a nice day against Arizona. It's not a great matchup by the numbers against Tennessee, if you can believe it. Plus, if Brian Thomas comes back, what does that look like? I would probably take Theo. I would plan to prioritize Theo Johnson of that group. Loveland is also interesting. But I don't know that I want to play Loveland against Philly. Outside of Rome Odunze, and I guess Caleb Williams, even Caleb is a tough to. Super flex, you're going to have to start him, but in one quarterback leagues, Caleb might be a bench this week against the Eagles defense. That's a brutal spot to be in. I don't. And they're coming off a loss, coming back at home. Their defense is going to want to, I think they're going to maybe take some frustrations out. I don't want to play any Bears. So Loveland has emerged and is very interesting. I would probably take Theo. From that group. And then, did kind of cover this already. My schedule is fluid. I will make myself available this week at some time. I am not sure when that will be or what that will look like. But if you need me, you know how to get a hold of me. and I'm happy to rehash it. Just ask a question in the form of a comment. It could be on this. It could be on this stream after the fact. You can also join me in Discord. That is an evergreen invite in the description of the stream. I will, I will be available at certain points this week. I know with the holiday, it's a little, it's a little up and down. It's a little fluid, but I will be around. Sport Dog, really quickly. Yeah, I mean, J-Mo was probably the most disappointing player in fantasy this week. Goose egging against the New York Giants is insane. I quite liked J-Mo to have a big game. He had the exact opposite. He had the worst game you possibly could have. He scored as many fantasy points as the rest of us did. We'll take it 1 week at a time with J-Mo, but right now, safer options like Shakir and Pierce are guys that I would plan to look to fire up. Not good. Let's see. Hurts or May? May gets the Giants on Monday Night Football. Hurts gets the Bears at home. Hurts had a nice week against the Cowboys. Gets a good matchup against the Bears. I mean, May did fine against Cincinnati. It was a little lackluster. One more score, and it would be like, okay, now we're talking. He gets the Giants at home. That's a great matchup. You probably can't go wrong with either. I mean, I guess Hurts because of the tush push and the goal. Hurts gets goal line opportunities with the tush push, so maybe I slightly lean him. But like Drake May has been so good, it's hard to go away from him as well. Either one should be fine, and I don't mean that to be a cop-out answer. Maybe May is your safe play and Hurts is a bit of an upside play if you feel like you need to be aggressive. But both of their floors are incredibly high. They're both perfectly safe options to turn to. If there's one weird funkiness, it's that Hurts has to play on Friday and May gets, 8 days between games. So he's got a little bit more like rest, preparation, etc. Against a very beatable Giants defense at home. I'm fine with either one. I'm fine with either one. If you have a gut feeling on either one, I would just go with that guy. Like maybe Hurts because of the tush push and the goal line, but I wouldn't blame you if you went back to May. May has been great this year, and it's another good matchup. It's another good matchup. Okay. Drop Henry for Strange or Loveland. Well, that would be for week 14, right? Who do the Bears have week 14? The Packers? That's not super ideal. The Jaguars have the Colts. That's a little bit better of a matchup by the numbers. Probably Strange. And I like Loveland. I like what he's done. And obviously that's 2 weeks out from now, so a lot can happen between now and then that potentially changes this answer, but I'll chase the matchup. I'll say Strange slightly over Loveland, but a lot can change in 2 weeks' time. Let's see. DJ Moore or Alec Pierce? The Bears get the Eagles. I'd rather not. That's not a great matchup on the road against Philly. Pierce, the Colts get, and I know Pierce had one catch. That was disappointing. Pierce gets Houston. That's a tough matchup. But it is a home game. DJ Moore had a huge performance against the Steelers. I think one of his touchdowns was busted coverage, or maybe it was a free play. I mean, it happened. I'm not taking it away from him, but it was a little fluky. I would probably play Pierce at home. I have a hard time. The Bears on the road against Philly, that's tough. And I know Houston, by the numbers, it's a worse matchup for Pierce. It is a worse matchup for Pierce than it is for Moore. So if you genuinely want to play the matchup by the numbers, technically that's Moore. I just don't like the spot on the road against Philly. I think I would rather play. I would take a shot on Alec Pierce at home. Role players tend to play better at home, although I think Pierce is better than a role player. He is a constant. He's a mainstay in their offense. Playing at home against a division opponent, I probably lean Pierce. As far as Aaron Jones versus Gainwell, the Vikings offense is like a total a complete mess right now. On the road against Seattle, that's not a great spot. Gainwell, though, gets the Bills, which is a great matchup by the numbers. Jones had 9 for 41, and he had 3 catches for 16 yards. I mean, yeah, this Vikings offense has completely fallen off. Gainwell, the Vikings they're probably playing Max Brosmer this week. I'll take Gainwell. Yeah. Yes, and there are a couple of different chats. I've got streams on mobile, I've got streams on desktop, and I'm also streaming on Twitch for anybody who's watching on Twitch. So there may be some questions in the chat that some of you may not see. Don't worry, I can see all of them. I promise I will get to you. But if you do genuinely think you're like, I've been waiting for a while, just let me know. Let's see. And I don't see any other member questions at this moment in time. Just keeping an eye out. Do you drop Baker or Purdy to pick up Dart? Yeah, I mean, after last night's performance, I don't really have an argument to keep Brock Purdy. He's going to play Cleveland on the road this week, and then it's the 49ers bye week, week 14. So Purdy's not usable for 2 weeks, I don't think. So yeah, I would drop Purdy. I would plan to drop Purdy. I don't want to play him. Now here's the problem. Well, just keep in mind, Dart might not play this week. The Giants' bye week is week 14. I feel like they may hold him out through the bye week just out of extreme precaution. So if Baker can't play, because remember, his arm was in a sling. It was his left arm, his non-throwing arm. He could be okay for this week, but I don't know that it's a guarantee that he's okay for this week. So I guess based on that, if Dart doesn't play and Baker doesn't play, then you would have to play Purdy. I would probably still drop Purdy. What's Baker's diagnosis? Low-grade strain in non-throwing shoulder. Okay. He could play this week. I don't know that it's a guarantee. Yeah, that's tough. I want to pick up Dart, but if you drop Purdy and then Dart and Baker are both out, then like who would be your alternate option to pivot to? I guess is what I would want to know in the event that Purdy gets picked up if you drop him. So I think we need a fourth quarterback in mind before we execute on this plan, just because Baker might not play, Dart might not play, and Purdy's in an awful matchup against Cleveland coming off of a 3-interception game. And, on top of the 3 interceptions, he looked terrible against Carolina last night. So there might need to be a fourth name thrown into this mix. Flex DK, Pearsall, Woody Marks, Trey Benson if active, or pick up Kareem Hunt So Hunt should not be on waivers. That being said, Pacheco is coming back this week for Kansas City, so I don't know that Hunt will be trustworthy, even though it's a great matchup by the numbers against Dallas. Not Pearsall. Pearsall can't be trusted right now. That 49ers offense outside of McCaffrey is tough to trust. I mean, Kittle as well, but just Purdy looks awful. Looked awful anyway. He looked good in week 11, and then he completely fell apart last night against Carolina. Yeah, I mean, I think we need to wait and see how things progress this week. Not Pearsall. If Trey Benson is active and we're getting positive vibes on him, then sure. If he's active but he might be on a pitch count, then maybe you go DK. I think it's a solid matchup. They're playing Jacksonville, right? Yeah, they're playing Jacksonville. The AFC South is playing each other this week. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Houston, Indy. DK's in a good matchup, and if Ayamanor is ruled out once again, he should see even more opportunities. Tootin's tough to trust after a stinker this past week. Benson, who knows what his role is. Kareem Hunt, who knows what his role is when Pacheco comes back. Woody Marks, I might say DK tentatively, but there's a lot that still needs to happen this week before we make a definitive call. Injuries to certain players, Benson himself coming back. Tentatively DK, especially if it's full PPR. Oh, and you just said underneath that it's PPR. Yeah, DK. I mean, the guy's doing well with an expanded opportunity, and Ayamanor has been hurt, and he gets he does some punt returning. What if he breaks one? Gets a special teams touchdown. Yeah, I mean he looks good. Probably just DK in full PPR. Is Pearsall droppable in 10 team? Yeah, maybe. I mean, you have CD, you have Rice, you have Adunze. I don't know if you're going to be able to rely on Garrett Wilson for the rest of the year. It depends on who you would be picking up, of course. It depends on who your options are on the wire. But, yeah, I mean, we're getting to that point. Maybe, he's getting his feet wet. He missed a lot of time. Maybe he's ramping back up, and we need to be a little bit more patient. But it depending on who your options are, sure. I got a new member in Manny. Thank you for your support, and thanks for joining on as a member, Manny. Appreciate that. You will now get priority responses to your questions, and we can kick that right off with what you just dropped in. Who would I rather have for playoffs, Buka or Wandale? This time last week, I would have said it's a slam dunk. It's Buka, but that's not a slam dunk right now. Buka has fallen off, and Wandale has taken off. Yeah, I mean, I still believe in Buka's talent, but now we've got an injury to Baker. It is his non-throwing arm, so it's not as... If it was his throwing arm, then it would be a clear answer. The answer would be Wandale because the concern would be about Baker's long-term health. It's not his throwing arm, so there's a little bit more optimism about the rest of his season, but it's not super ideal. And again, Buka he's been quiet for the past month. 5 out of the past 6 weeks or so. He's been off the radar. Wandale, I think, is a top 10 wide receiver right now, depending on scoring. What's Wandale at? And he had like a 30 burger this past week against the Lions. Wandale's like a PPR wide receiver one. I have to say Wandale right now, especially if it's PPR. If it's standard scoring, I might throw a little bit more love to Igbokwe and optimism that him and Baker can rediscover the connection that they had early in the season that made him, that put Igbokwe immediately on the map. But if it's PPR, I think I have to say Wandale right now. He's playing better. He's performing at a higher level. And whether it's Jameis or Dart, I mean, Dart obviously needs to clear concussion protocol, but neither of them have been in a sling recently. And I know it's Baker's non-throwing arm, but still, he was forced from the game and was seen in a sling. Even though it's his non-throwing arm, that could be a problem. What if he gets sacked and lands on his left arm? That's going to be just as bad as if he has an injury to his right arm. I'll say Wandale is the preference, the guy that I would rather have right now for your stretch run. That's crazy. That's crazy, but that's who I would rather have. I would rather have Wandale. Can talk about this more, Manny, or if there's any more specific questions that you have, but thanks for joining on as a member. Appreciate the support. Let me know if you need anything else. Sport Dog, and again, I see your questions, but I got to get to members first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. Sport Dog, somebody else earlier asked me Hurts or May, and it's kind of like, it's almost a compliment. Like, that's nice that you have these good options. You kind of can't go wrong. I mean, Cincinnati is getting cooked by everybody. And now the fact that Burrow is back, that makes their offense even more formidable. That could force the Ravens to have to remain aggressive for longer on offense. Now, May is playing the Giants, and we just saw the Giants hang, 27 points on the Detroit Lions on the road, so they can score. That's not a problem, but week to week, game to game, I'll assume, a stronger performance from Joe Burrow than Jameis Winston. No disrespect to Jameis. I love Jameis, but, Burrow is Burrow. And it is his first game back, so we'll see what that looks like. I mean, Lamar should be fine. Cincinnati is a very beatable matchup. Drake May should be fine. He's been unbelievable this year, and the Giants are a beatable matchup. The Lions just scored 34 on them. You truly can't go wrong. If it's 4-point passing touchdowns, maybe I go Lamar. If it's 6-point passing touchdowns, maybe I go May. And honestly, Lamar has been and will continue to be a stud in all scoring formats, so that probably doesn't even really matter. They should both be fine. They should both do well. Go with your gut. That's what I would say. Hurts versus May, Lamar versus May, Lamar versus Burrow. If you picked up Burrow, maybe I would go Lamar there just because it's Burrow's first game back. But truly, like, Drake May is fine, Lamar Jackson is fine. Doesn't matter to me. Now, I mean that, like, they should both have good games. Let's see. Back up to my spot in line. Juwan and Gadsden. I'd rather not play both of them unless you absolutely have to. I mean, Gadsden gets the Raiders coming out of their bye week. That's a pretty good matchup. Juwan gets Miami. That's a good matchup. Yeah, I mean, it depends on who your other options are. I mean, naturally, I if I'm tasked with two tight ends, I might prefer the guy playing with the better quarterback, the better offense. Even though it's a good matchup for New Orleans, I might organically, naturally lean toward Gadsden. It feels like a safer situation. Justin Herbert. Like, that's and nothing scary about the Raiders. But it depends on who your other options are. And then you can drop, if you don't have Bucky Irving, Sean Tucker can be dropped for a guy like Trey Benson, who Benson could come back and be the clear-cut starter, dominate opportunities for Arizona's backfield. Tucker's not going to dominate opportunities once Bucky Irving is back. So that's fine with me to pick up. I would prioritize Benson. Monangai is interesting, but it's a tougher matchup on the road against Philly this week, so I would prefer Benson. Yeah. Dropping Tucker for Benson is fine with me. Pick 3. Bucky, if he, so Wandale and Michael Wilson for sure. They're on fire right now. Tet has been good too. He had a couple drops last night, but he came through for you. He caught the touchdown. He did just fine at the end of the day. Michael Wilson and Wandale, and then let's see what the vibes are on Bucky this week. Maybe I'll put a short out just to if people have questions about Bucky this week. It's all going to be dependent on a couple of things. What your other options are. Tet is a good option. And then what are the vibes? What are the reports? Bucky is logging full practices this week. Okay, great. He feels like he's close to being back to 100%. Bucky could be limited this week. He could be, cede work to Sean Tucker and Rachaad White. Okay, maybe we don't fire Bucky up right away. Or, maybe it's Friday and the reports are Bucky looks great. He's ready to return. He has no limitations. Okay, then we're firing him up and hoping that that's all true. Because all we can do is go off of the words of the coaching staff. If Bucky sounds like he's going to be full go, play Bucky. If Bucky might be in a limited role, play Tet. We gotta keep a pulse on what the reports are. And I did get this question. I would slightly prefer Pierce, and I would take Gainwell over Aaron Jones. Pick up Waller again. You have Herbert, who is back. You're possibly not going to have Dart for another 2 weeks. They may hold him out again one more week and then go into the bye week and plan to have him fully healthy to play out the string. So, you would be leaving yourself potentially a little thin at quarterback for some depth for a couple of weeks, but you're firing up Herbert this week and next for sure. So if you can stash Waller, that's fine. You don't truly need him because you have Bowers. I would actually maybe say your quarterback depth is a little bit more valuable than your tight end depth because you're not going to play Waller over Bowers. Maybe you play him over Theo Johnson, but he's missed a lot of time recently. I would say it depends on who do you think is more likely to be available later in the week. If you think Waller will be still sitting on waivers, then maybe don't pick him up. If you think he's going to be snatched up and Tyrod will definitely be available on waivers later in the week, then maybe just pull the trigger. And if you really need to bring Tyrod back for some more quarterback depth later in the week, we can cross that bridge when we come to it. Your league mates better than I do. You know how likely, or you may have a better feel for how likely they are to either pick up Waller or let him sit on the wire, or pick up Tyrod if he gets dropped. Who's more likely to be available to you later in the week, and go from there. That's what I would try to do. If you think Tyrod's more likely to be available, then pick up Waller, excuse me, not Walker. Waller. Waller or Ferguson as a play this week, probably Ferguson, just because he plays on Thursday and we don't know if Waller is going to play yet and what his role would be in his first game back if he did get activated. If it's who to stash for the rest of the season, again, it depends on, do you have another tight end other than Ferguson that you can fire up this week? But the preferred stash for the rest of the season, just based on his schedule, is probably Waller. Plus the fact that Ferguson has fallen off with the contending with four targets with CD and Pickens. So it depends on who is Ferguson your only viable play right now? Then maybe hang on to Ferguson. But if you've got another guy that you can start this week, then sure, drop Ferguson for Waller. It all depends. Manny, I see you asked that question about Ibuka or Wandale. Thank you again for becoming a member. Again, I'll keep an eye out. You'll now get fast-tracked responses. How do we feel about Hampton when he comes back? I mean, he should lead the backfield. Maybe not first week. Kamani Vidal did pretty admirable in his absence, but he was up and down, and he picked up an injury of his own, I think, before the bye week. Didn't he? Do we have an update on Vidal and his status? I mean, first game back, I'm not expecting the world, but, I mean, this is a Chargers team that is contending for the division. They're going to, when he's ready to go back to being, first-round pick, 1A lead the backfield, they're gonna give him the keys to the castle. Vidal, yeah, he picked up I think he picked up an injury. Yeah, it was like a thigh injury before the bye week. He had a lackluster game week 11. Yeah, I mean, they're not gonna. Maybe it's a committee for the first week, but after that, I got to imagine Hampton goes back to being their primary guy. Might be tough to start him week 13, but he's certainly a dude that will probably end up being in a lot of lineups for the fantasy playoffs, given his workload, his usage, and the offense that he's on. Yep. Yes. Waller's schedule rest of season rocks. The thing will be, can he stay healthy? Can he stay healthy? And I assume he will work well ahead of Greg Dulcich when he's back to being 100%. But we got to get there first. But yes, Waller's end of season schedule rocks. The question is, what does he look like coming back from injury? Let's see. Dynasty League question. You were offered Brian Thomas and Marvin Harrison for St. Brown. No, I'm not doing that. St. Brown has proven so much more and done so much more than those two guys. I'm not giving up on Amon-Ra. Brian Thomas, his stock is down. Both of their stock is down right now. Michael Wilson has had a better 2-game stretch than Marvin Harrison has had at any point of his young career. And maybe that's a little unfair. He's had to play with Kyler Murray for much of this past season and a half. But Michael Wilson just put up 25 catches in the past 2 weeks. I don't know if Marv has ever done that in a multi-week span. And then Brian Thomas, he was really good last year. He was a little up and down. He got a massive, massive target share at the end of his rookie season, catching the ball from Mac Jones. Mac Jones isn't the quarterback for Jacksonville anymore. And he's fallen completely off this year. Brian Thomas was one of the worst picks in fantasy this year. I would have almost rather, and I'm not trying to be rude or have any disrespect to anybody who's suffered an injury, but I would have rather drafted Malik Neighbors than Brian Thomas, because at least I knew I could just drop him, because he is not coming back this year. Brian Thomas has been well short of expectations. Now he's been in and out of the lineup with injuries. He's had some dropped passes. I'd rather be able to just be like, I know definitively I can say goodbye to you and you're not coming back, and I'll pick somebody else up. He's been a roster clogger this year. Brian Thomas has been he has dragged your team down. I don't want to give up a stone cold, clear cut wide receiver 1 in Amon-Ra for what are two question marks. Brian Thomas and Marvin Harrison are currently question marks as far as their dynasty value. No, I'm not. I'm not. Unless you're the one acquiring Amon-Ra. Sometimes I read these questions and it's like, oh no, I'm actually the one getting Amon-Ra. I want the Amon-Ra side. So if you're getting the Amon-Ra side, then smash accept. If you are giving up Amon-Ra for Marvin Harrison and Brian Thomas, no. No way. Not for me. Congratulations. Hopefully we lock that playoff spot this week. Always nice to have scored the most points in your league. That makes me feel like win or lose each week, it's like I built the best team to compete week over week that I could. It's a good feeling. Let's see. I got the member questions. Thanks again to Manny for joining on. Would I play Lamar or Burrow in standard? So I think I would go Lamar. Just because because you have Lamar Jackson, you can wait and see how Burrow does in his first game back without T. Higgins. He will have Jamar Chase back. He won't have T. Higgins. Lamar has been back for multiple weeks now. The Ravens are on a roll. There's absolutely nothing scary about the Bengals defense. Lamar over Burrow for me. Until we see what Burrow looks like coming back early from injury. And then would I play Jefferson, Igbuka, or Sutton? Oh, man. Igbuka if Baker plays. Igbuka if Baker plays. Sutton if Baker doesn't play. This is where we're at. Justin Jefferson is one of the best receivers in football, but you wouldn't know it this year just looking at his numbers. His quarterback play has been, it's not even Wentz. It's been J.J. McCarthy. J.J. McCarthy has been awful this year. Maybe Max Brosmer is an upgrade. I can't believe that's a sentence that I'm saying. But we have no idea what Max Brosmer is or what he's going to look like on the road against a good Seahawks defense. I can't play Jefferson right now if I have these other options. I would play Igbuka if Baker is active, and I would probably plan to play Sutton if Baker is out. I can't play Jefferson right now. He's on one of the worst slides of his career. And again, it has nothing to do with Justin Jefferson. He's awesome. J.J. McCarthy is not awesome. There's still time. He's like 22 years old. There's still time, but damn, he looks awful. He's not going to play this week, so maybe it's some type of upgrade, but I don't know if I want to find out. I don't know if I want to confidently fire up Justin Jefferson. Yeah. Jordan, is that Jaden Reed? I think that's Jaden Reed, right? Not Jordan Reed and Garrett Wilson are they worth picking up? No. You have Metcalf, you have Chamo's so freaking frustrating. Rice is a stud, and you have Sutton. Sutton is tough to trust, but he's also a difficult guy to drop as well. I think I would sit tight. J-Mo is still incredibly talented. The goose egg against the Giants is super frustrating, but I don't want to overreact and drop him. Sutton has been frustrating as well. I think that's been more on Bo Nix than it has been Cortland Sutton, but also Troy Franklin has been a lot better than I think people planned or realized this year, and has almost, I don't know if he's usurped Sutton outright on the depth chart, but he's making a compelling argument. I don't know that I'm ready to drop Sutton. I think I would wait one more week. If he has another bad week coming out of the bye week in a good matchup, then maybe Sutton is droppable. And then Rice obviously is a rock star, and Metcalf is a guy that is perfectly fine as a wide receiver too. A little uninspiring, but not bad. No, I don't think I would do anything. I wouldn't pick up Reed. I wouldn't pick up Wilson. Reed is coming back, but the Packers offense is blah right now. And Garrett Wilson might not come back this year. So I'm not chasing that. Unless you had 3 or 4 injured reserve spots, which if you did, then maybe Wilson wouldn't be available to begin with. I think I would just stay put. I don't think I would do anything just yet. I would probably play Lamar over Dak against the Bengals. It's a great matchup. Again, perfect. Like Dak at home on Thanksgiving against the Chiefs team that he should have to throw the ball. He should be perfectly fine, but I'll take Lamar and his rushing upside. I know his rushing upside hasn't been as high as recently that it typically is, but he's still a threat. He's still an elite dual threat. I'll take Lamar over Dak, and then I'll take Jacoby over Caleb. Caleb gets the Eagles on the road, and I don't want to mess with that. Yeah, I'll take Jacoby. I think they're playing Tampa, right? I mean, Tampa's defense has been they've been getting lit up a little bit. And, Jacoby had another good game. They're throwing the ball 50 times a game. Not worried about the matchup against Tampa Bay. Yeah, I would play Jacoby over Caleb for sure. And I'm definitely not picking up Bo Nix. He hasn't been good. He hasn't been great. Okay, I see there's a couple other questions in the chat. I promise I will get to them, but Manny chopped in with another question. So I got to get to the members first. That is a perk of being a member of the channel. Someone offered you Wandale and Goddard for Egbuka and Jennings. I would rather have one of his quarterbacks. Look, I'm okay with, yes, Wandale for Egbuka in a vacuum, okay, fine, give me Wandale, but you don't need another tight end in Goddard. You have Hunter Henry, you have Jawan, you're fine there. Jennings just had a huge night last night and is working currently ahead of Ricky Pearsall as far as the 49ers wide receivers. You have Brock Purdy, who was awful last night. You have Jordan Love, who is droppable. I would try to get one of his quarterbacks. Could you get Wandale and maybe don't get Baker because he's hurt. Dart is hurt too. What's Caleb's postseason schedule? I think he plays the Packers in there once, which isn't great. Caleb's playoff schedule, Week 15 Cleveland. Week 16 Green Bay. Not great. At least both those games are at home, but they're not great matchups. And then on the road against San Francisco, Week 17 is a good matchup by the numbers, but it is still a road game. Okay, I don't love that. Dart. Washington, Minnesota, Vegas. That's a little bit more palatable. Could you get the Wandale Dart stack for Egbuka? But I don't want to give up Jennings unless your wide receivers are loaded. I don't know who your wide receivers are, Manny, but if your wide receivers are loaded, I would try to get Wandale and Dart, not Wandale and Goddard, because you already have some decent tight end streaming options, and you could always pick up a tight end like a Darren Waller if he's available down the line, down the road. I don't want to make a trade for a tight end. I would be interested in you upgrading at quarterback, though, because Purdy is on the road against Cleveland this week, and then it's his bye week. He's going to be tough to trust. And Love, you can drop Jordan Love. You can drop Jordan Love. He has done nothing. He has done nothing these past few weeks. Actually, he's done nothing most of the season. Okay, you have JSN and you have Devontae Smith. So you have the best wide receiver in football, and then Devontae Smith is a perfectly fine wide receiver 2 to have. If you can get Wandale and Dart for Egbuka and Jennings, I think I would be okay with that. I think I would be okay with that. And drop Jordan Love for anybody. Anybody. If you don't want to drop Purdy, fine. But I would drop Love. The Packers offense, I don't want anybody other than Josh Jacobs. The Tucker Kraft injury is killing the Packers right now. It's killing their offense. He is so good, and he is so important at what they do, clearly. I think he is the biggest absence for their offense right now, and they're going to feel it for the rest of the year. I don't want Jordan Love for fantasy. Not even in Superflex formats do I want to start Jordan Love. I would start like Cam Ward over Jordan Love this week. Yeah. So, if you can turn that into Wandale and Dart, Manny, I would be a little bit more into that. Superflex Dynasty. You have Mahomes, Hurts, and Love. Okay. Olave, Devontae, Addison. Okay, some decent wide receiver depth. Do you move Love and Olave for Kyler, T, and Worthy? No. I know I just got done poo-pooing Jordan Love, but that's for this season. That's for redraft. That's not necessarily for Dynasty. Kyler is nothing. Kyler is nothing. Not just the rest of this year, but maybe just in general moving forward. Like, yeah, I guess he's talented, but like, who's gonna make him a starter next year? The Jets? The Saints? It's not going to be the Saints. The Saints are going to be picking in the top 3. They're going to take a quarterback. The Jets are going to take a quarterback too. Who the hell is going to, like, who's going to give Kyler Murray a job next year? The Vikings? Like, are they going to give up on J.J. McCarthy? I'm trying to think. Who would give Kyler Murray a starting role next year? I'm trying to go through the teams. Nobody in the NFC East. Nobody in the AFC East. Nobody in the NFC North. Unless the Vikings give up on JJ. I can't imagine they do. AFC North? Like if Rodgers retires? NFC South? No. Well, unless the Panthers give up on Bryce Young. AFC South? No. NFC West? LOL. And then AFC, like the Raiders? I don't know. Would the Raiders give Kyler Murray a shot? Like, I don't want to acquire Kyler in Dynasty. That's just what it comes down to. And maybe this, I don't think this is short-sighted. Kyler Murray is not that good. I don't really want to acquire him. Jordan Love is probably going to be the Packers quarterback for at least the next 3 or 4 years, assuming something catastrophic doesn't happen. T. Higgins is good, but you'd be giving up a younger wide receiver 1 in Olave, and then Worthy has completely fallen off the radar. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that deal. Your wide receiver depth is honestly fine. Olave is perfectly fine to fire up. Devontae Smith is perfectly fine to fire up. Michael Wilson has emerged in a big way. You have 3 wide receivers. I know Addison is hard to trust right now. That's not his fault. That's his quarterback's fault. Josh Downs, Ayuk, you're hoping for is more of a play in 2026. All the same, no, I just don't want to acquire Kyler in Dynasty. Who's going to give him a job next year? Nah. Patrick Mahomes or Jacoby Brissett? What did Mahomes do this past week against Indy? I don't think it was that good. But it is the Cowboys. who are better on defense, admitted. Like, they are better on defense. Mahomes, 350 passing yards, 1 touchdown. He ran 4 times for 30 yards. I mean, Mahomes has been a steady threat running the football this year. That may change with Pacheco coming back. Jacoby, once again, 300 plus passing yards. He ran for 20 yards. Man. Either one should be fine, really. I mean, Mahomes on Thanksgiving against the Cowboys, that might be a tough spot. Jacoby has been balling. There's nothing scary about Tampa's defense. Honestly, I don't think you could go wrong. I guess maybe I slightly lean Jacoby. He's been a top 10 quarterback, I think, every game he's played this year except for one. And he gets a Tampa Bay Bucs defense that just got shredded by the Rams. I might play Jacoby. Plus, Arizona's throwing the ball like 50 to 60 times anymore these days. So, like, the volume is insane for Jacoby. It's close. I don't mind either one, but I'll take Jacoby. Okay. We are at the end of the chat. Appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out this evening, as always. I can stick around for a bit longer in case there's a couple more questions. But hopefully everybody's all good. Tet or Wandale? I mean, flip a coin. Full PPR, Wandale, standard or half, Tet. Both are good. Wandale's been awesome, but Tet has really emerged as well. I guess it comes down to the score. I would love to play both. But in full PPR, I'll play Wandale, and in standard scoring and half PPR, I'll play Tet. Honestly, Wandale is becoming viable in half PPR as well. He's been awesome. Wandale high floor, Tet higher ceiling. Playing it safe versus being aggressive comes down to that. Do you need a high floor? Wandale. Is it PPR? Wandale. Do you need a swing for a little bit more upside? Maybe that's Tet. Standard scoring, half PPR, maybe Tet. Like, I would say there's a combination of factors there. Scoring and your matchup, your situation. But both are good. Both are good. Like, at this point, probably can't go wrong. Which, it's a good problem to have. How would I approach the Steelers' backfield? You can play them both. It depends on who your options are, but you can play them both. They're whether it's Aaron Rodgers working his way back from a sprained wrist or whatever it is, or fractured wrist, or if it's Mason Rudolph as a backup and they run the ball a little bit more, you could play both of these guys. It's, first of all, this week especially, it's a great matchup against the Buffalo Bills, and then we'll take it 1 week at a time from there. The Steelers have been and should continue to lean into their run game. Their ancillary wide receivers behind DK Metcalf, they're making plays occasionally, but they're not world beaters. They should be leaning into running the ball, regardless of who their quarterback is, whether it's Rodgers or Rudolph. And in this matchup against Buffalo, you can play both. You can play them both. Buffalo has struggled on the ground this year. I think you can fire up, again, depending on who your other options are, you can fire up both Steelers running backs. I'm going to continue to just, I'm going to give the slight nod to Warren if you can only play one just because he's the starter, but Gainwell's getting in there, mixing in and producing. So, it'll be interesting to see how this shakes out over the next few weeks. Still slight nod to Warren over Gainwell, like if we're ranking running backs each week. But if you have the room in your lineup to play both, then you can play both. And then with this one, this is depending on. I mean, this depends on Hampton. We don't know if Hampton's going to play this week. I mean, Genty, you probably have to play. Honestly, I would. Tyron Tracy's on a nice run, so I would probably plan to play him. And then, I would probably go. I would go Hampton if he's healthy, and I would go Woody if he's not. Tootin didn't do anything last week, so he's tough to back. He's still intriguing, but harder to advocate after a dud performance. Aaron Jones, the Vikings offense is impossible to trust right now, and it's a brutal matchup against Seattle. And then Worthy, I mean, I don't think Worthy is in consideration to start most weeks. He had 4 for 59. Like 4 for 59 is Xavier Worthy's best performance in a month. Like he has 1 touchdown in the season. Worthy he's too good to drop, but he's too talented to drop, but he's not trustworthy right now. Pun intended. Stupid. Genty, Tracy, Hampton if he's healthy, Woody if Hampton's not ready. And Franklin over Burden. I'm not playing. I don't want to outside of Rome Odunze. I don't really want to play the Bears against the Eagles. That's a tough spot for them on the road in Philly. Okay. Quickly, just want to say thanks to everybody, especially the members who came in this week or this evening. Bobby, Rojo, Evan, Kevin, Sport Dog. Who else did I see? Let's see. Thank you to Manny for joining on as a member for the first day as a member. Appreciate the support. Mr. Rising Spirits, thank you for the super. Appreciate that. And everybody for coming in and hanging out tonight. We are at the end of the chat. And I have to pack for an early flight tomorrow. So I may be winding this down here shortly. But again, appreciate everybody coming in and hanging out this week, the holiday week. Again, one more time, I will be available. I am not quite sure my cadence yet. I will keep, I will make sure to keep everybody updated, certainly in Discord, and then obviously just keep an eye out for any streams that I post as far as scheduled, and I'll try to make myself available throughout the week. But obviously, with it being Thanksgiving, I need to figure that out. Let's see. What else we have here? Browns, Texans, or Jags. Houston's got the best defense, but they ought to go on the road to play Indy, who have a great offense. So I don't know that I want to play them. The Browns, they're good. They're playing San Francisco. They could be fine after Brock Purdy's abysmal performance last night. But they do have to go up against McCaffrey. The Jags are probably my chalk answer here. They're playing Tennessee. Cam Ward looked good last week, but, it's still an offense that's probably worth targeting. My early thoughts are I would probably take Jacksonville. Probably take Jacksonville. 1 running back, 2 flex, Bucky, Benson, Charbonnet. Ideally, those first 3 names. Ideally, those first 3 running backs. Bucky if he's healthy, Benson if he's healthy, Charbonnet. Not worried about the Vikings defense. The Vikings season is spiraling out. They're going nowhere. So I don't mind a running back on a good team at home. I don't trust Devin Neal yet. Trey Tucker could be fine, but I'd rather play those running backs. So obviously we got to keep eyes and ears close to the ground for updates on Bucky and Benson. But I want to play those 3 running backs if they're all healthy. Charbonnet, I would definitely play. And then obviously pivot to Neal and or Tucker. Probably Tucker over Neal if one of those 2 running backs can't play. But I want to play Bucky, Benson, Charbonnet of that group. Would I trade Javonte, Franklin, Bowers to get Taylor and Sutton? You have Kyron Jacobs, Javonte now, and the Emmanuel Wilson handcuff. You have JSN, Lamb, Franklin, Watson. Who's your starting tight end? Because you'd be giving up Brock Bowers. Obviously, Taylor is awesome. Top running back. So Taylor alone is worth trying to get. But if you're going to be streaming the tight end position, then I'm not, that's a lot to give up for just Taylor. Because right now, Courtland Sutton is not fantasy relevant. The Broncos offense has been struggling, Bo Nix in particular. I don't really feel any type of inclination to acquire Courtland Sutton. Now, yeah, Taylor, hell yeah, let's rock. But who's your starting tight end? If you're giving up Bowers and pivoting to some other to streaming options, I'm not super bullish about it. You've got great wide receivers in JSN and Lamb. You've got a good stable of backs in Kyron, Jacobs, Javonte. If you're going from Bowers to, Brenton Strange or Zach Ertz or Hunter Henry and random streaming options, you're going to roll the dice on Darren Waller, then I'm not super excited about that. If you have Tyler Warren, then okay, fine, that's a little bit more interesting. You have an expendable piece in Bowers or George Kittle, if you happen to have both of them. It depends on who your tight end would be after trading Bowers. That's what it would come down to. Yeah. And I don't see a I'll keep an eye out. I don't see a response just yet, but let me know who your starting tight end would be post Bowers, and honestly, that would be my answer. If you're like, I have Tyler Warren, somebody dropped George Kittle when he was hurt, and now I have Kittle, okay, fine, trade Bowers to acquire Taylor. But if you're gonna, I'm picking up Darren Waller and Brenton Strange and rolling the dice, then no, I'm not as bullish on that. It's a pretty good balanced team as it is, for what it's worth. Would I trade Jacobs for Judkins and Egbuka? Are you acquiring Jacobs? You'd be giving up Judkins and Egbuka? I mean, Egbuka hasn't been great recently. I still believe that he'll be viable down the stretch. That's, of course, pending Baker's health. But, what do the rest of your wide receivers look like? Are you loaded? Are you stocked at the position? Then, okay, fine. I would take Jacobs for Judkins and Egbuka. If you're loaded at wide receiver and Egbuka's expendable, then fine. But if you're hurting at wide receiver, if wide receiver's a little thin, if your talent is a little thin, then I have a little bit more pause giving up 2 pieces for 1. Because Judkins bounced back in a big way this past week. They're going to, with Shador, they're going to give Judkins the ball as much as he can handle. So, he's looking pretty interesting. I would say it depends on the rest of your team's makeup. Okay. We are at the end of the chat. Okay. Thank you guys. I think I'm going to go ahead and shut this down ahead of the holiday. I have some pre-holiday stuff to take care of over here. But if you miss me and you need anything, hit me with your question in the form of a comment. It can be on this live stream, any recent videos or streams on the channel. Join me in Discord. Second link in the description of this live stream. Evergreen free invite. You can ask questions over there, and I will make myself available as much as I possibly can this week, leading up to week 13, pending, of course, my travels. You can drop Bo Nix. You can drop Bo Nix. Bo Nix is not... He hasn't looked good. If you want to pick up Corum to stash, I would drop Bo Nix. Because you could just fire up Trevor Lawrence if you already have him. I would hold Lawrence and drop Bo Nix for Corum. I would probably play Lawrence. Decent enough matchup against Tennessee. That's what I would plan to do. Okay, that does it for me. I gotta run. Appreciate everybody. I will try to make myself available. I will make myself available later this week. But everybody have a wonderful Thanksgiving. However you're spending the holiday, enjoy, have fun, be safe. You know how to get a hold of me. You know where to find me. I appreciate all of you guys. Thank you for your time. Through the season so far, and obviously as we make our way to the fantasy playoffs. Enjoy the week. You will be hearing from me. You will see me. It's just a matter of what capacity. I am not sure yet, but I promise I will be around to help out leading into week 13. Thank you all. Enjoy the rest of your evening. I will see you guys at some point later this week. Thanks, everybody.